Welcome fellow agents, MC here with another build video, this time my Seeker Mine build. Now the idea behind this build is to achieve maximum explosive damage. Nothing else matters, that's my goal. And most builds are not built around that idea. So now where do I get this maximum explosive damage value? Well, we get that from our stats. If you scroll down far enough, you eventually reach explosive damage. Now the idea behind this build is you don't want to, say you don't want to deal with the BTSU gloves. You just want to throw your seekers out there and basically blow shit up. You don't want to worry about status effects and all that goes along with it. So how do we get this number? Well, that's an interesting question. Okay, the first thing you need for this build is the demolitionist. Why the demolitionist? Well, 25% increase in explosive damage compared to the technician, which offers only 10% skill damage. That's a considerable difference. I've had some people tell me it doesn't make a difference at all. That's their opinion. They like the BTSU glove. Let's actually look at the stats and see just how much it drops. And this is what people can't do if they don't have the build. You can't compare the actual numbers, and it's easy to write something off. Now that's a difference of 25,000 right there. That's raw damage you're throwing away. That's damage that can be applied to non-status effect enemies. So how does the specialization weapon itself compare to the other specialization? Well, let's have a look at that. So let's look at the damage on the P17 launcher itself. 844.4K. Not bad. How does that compare to the demolitionist? Skip that. Alrighty. Check that number out. All I can say is I wouldn't want to be hit with that. Enough said. Let's start with the weapons. I'm using a black market AKM here, and I went with Spike on the top talent. Headshots grant another 35% skill damage for 20 seconds. This actually works pretty good. It procs quite a bit if you can hit the headshots anyway, and I do pretty okay on that. And I went with rooted on the bottom slot, and this comes in very handy as well. It will deal out another 25% extra bonus damage if you launch your seekers from cover. That works really well with this build. I highly recommend it. Now I went for the secondary. I used the Merciless. This works great on the mechanical dogs, the little Johnny 5 robots, and any enemy with shields that just chews right through them. It doesn't work so good on heavies. And for the pistol, I chose one within rhythm. This particular pistol happens to have 2 holster talents, so I get in rhythm and wascally all at the same time. Pretty good deal. And rhythm is especially useful because it will reset your skill cooldowns. Alright, let's get into the gear set and why it's laid out the way it is. I tried several different ways to lay this out, and either I lose a mod somewhere, I lose a mod slot, or I lose a bonus, or something to that effect. So this ends up being kind of best of slot, and the main goal is to achieve as many of these yellow explosive damage mods as you can possibly cram onto the gear set. Now all of the explosive damage mods are 5%, except this one. Eventually I'll get another one, but for now it's the 4.5. I expect to have this gear set eventually hit 133% explosive damage, but it's not quite there yet because of the RNG gods. Let's get into the bonuses and why the pieces are arranged the way they are. Firstly, I wanted the China Light for the 10% explosive damage bonus. I mean, this is pretty much required. We're shooting for maximum explosive damage. As for the Alps, we get the skill haste bonus of 20% plus the 10% skill power bonus. And since it's hard to cram that much skill power onto a demolitionist, this helps out a lot. And we went with 2 hardwire pieces to get, guess again, yep, the skill power bonus of 20%. Now we don't really gain anything from the ongoing Directive chest piece, so let's start there. Okay, so why the ongoing Directive chest piece if it doesn't yield me a bonus? Well, let's have a look at it. The main reason is 23% explosive damage as a yellow attribute. Yep, yeah, I read that right. These pieces are no longer available since TU6 dropped. These are now considered legacy pieces. If you were lucky enough to keep them from TU5, don't get rid of them. Could work this into a gear set that might give you an advantage in the dark zone. Now I rolled 1,092 skill power onto this. That's the bulk of my skill power. And the weapon damage is kind of here and there. You're shooting rubber bullets. Your seekers do all the work. I just got lucky. It happened to have at least 3% weapon damage already on it. As for the mods, I've already said all of the mods are explosive damage mods, and I just threw in some armor, the best one I had, the best armor mod I could find. Alright, now for the mask, I went with skill haste and damage to elites, and for the talent I wanted hard hitting. You want to stack as much damage to elites as you can on this build. It stacks on top of explosive damage. It certainly helps with the elites. Ain't gonna do you much for the reds and purples. And for the skill haste, as much as you can possibly get. That's all I can say. Now, for the holster, we used hardwired. This will grant you 2 yellow utility slots and 2 yellow attributes. Now, I've had people tell me 49 is the top for skill haste. Yeah, you're looking at 50% here. I don't know if those data mining charts are correct. And then I stacked as much skill power as I could get on this piece. Now, for the backpack, it's an Alps, and that's a pretty decent skill haste roll there, 45%. I've never seen anything higher than that. The yellow attribute, or I should say the red attribute's kind of here and there. That's just what happened to be on it. But as far as backpacks go, Alps is your best bet. You get, not only do you get 2 talents, you get 2 yellow slots if you farm the correct backpack. Now here I went with skilled and destructive. Now skilled will reset your skill cooldowns. It has a 25% chance to proc. And again, this is really handy to get your skills back. That combined with in rhythm, you get them back, you know, here and there, and it really helps. And you could go with tech support. I don't use tech support for a couple of reasons. One is the time value on that is 10 seconds, and by the time my seekers come back, that 10 seconds is gone. I don't think it does me a whole lot of good. And the same with perfect tech support. Again, same 10 seconds. I just don't see it as useful, so I prefer skilled on this build. And of course the yellow mods are explosive damage mods. And let's not forget the 40% explosive damage bonus with the destructive. Really important here. Now for the glove, again, I go with terminate. The reason I use terminate is this has a 15-second window. I can actually get my seekers back and thrown again before that expires, and this procs all the time. Like every time I delete some armor, it's procced. You can't really go wrong there. I actually like it better than the BTS glove. I'm actually applying 35% pretty much all the time. Now as for the knee pad, it's hardwired, and I threw as much skill haste on this as I could get. I don't know what the top end on that is for a knee pad, but I ended up with 27 as my best value. And again, more explosive damage. Now that pretty much concludes the build. Let's get into the skills. Probably what everybody's been waiting for is to see the damage numbers. Let's get the chem launcher out of the way. I run the chem launcher as my second skill. It keeps me alive. Pretty squishy. You can run whatever you want there. It's really quite subjective. Moving on to the seekers. This is my default that I use. I like the clusters. I'm sitting at 13.1 seconds cooldown, which is pretty good for this gear set given what you have to cram onto it. And I like to run skill haste damage and plus 6 extra mines. I just find the 3 mines don't really cut it for me, and I can clear challenging missions with this with relative ease. Now let's make some comparisons with adding other damage mods in here. I can see what kind of numbers we can achieve. Let's go with 2 damage mods. Now I'm not going to read off all these numbers. You can pause the video and make comparisons to your set. You can see there, that's a pretty good number. Should smack something pretty hard. Now what happens if we go to 3 damage mods? Yeah, you get a whopping number there. That's pretty good for clusters. Let's fast forward to the explosive seeker mine, which applies bleed. Probably wondering what kind of damage we can get out of that. I've already replaced the plus 6 with another damage mod because it's useless. As you can see, I'm sitting at 1.3 million damage. So that begs the question, what happens if you put in the 3rd damage mod? And that puts us at almost 1.6 million. Right on the edge. If the RNG guys would see fit to bless me with some better mods, I probably could actually hit 1.6. I've never tested this in the DZ, but I would be curious to see what it does to a rather tanky rogue. That could be interesting. Well, that concludes my video. If you have a question or a comment, please leave it below.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Copy.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Airburst coming in.
Incoming hostiles detected.
No line of sight from here. Ammo belly.
Access key detected. Heavily armed hostiles guard.